Ministry of World Assembly Affairs is happy to present How to WA, an introduction to the ministry and why it is wonderful. This guide has two sections, a general description of the ministry and a day in the life of a WA minister. Firstly, what is the role of the Ministry of World Assembly Affairs within the executive government? The ministry's main job is to produce information for voters or IFVs on resolutions that get voted on in the WA. This involves deciding whether we think the resolution has a worthy aim, whether it executes that aim effectively, and whether there are any other considerations we need to take, such as political questions in the Security Council. All WA staff have the opportunity to contribute to these discussions and to write their own IFVs, which get posted to the European citizenry to help them decide how to vote. But they also get posted on nation states as a dispatch for the whole world to read. We also discuss resolutions and share IFV drafts with our allies in WAL, the World Assembly Legislative League, which consists of Europeia, the North Pacific, Boulder, and the International Democratic Union. So being thoughtful and proactive about proposal discussions is actually pretty important for maintaining a good rapport with those friends, which is awesome not only for general foreign affairs happiness, but also because it allows us to come together more effectively to pass resolutions that are important to us and may be on the more controversial side. The other main aspect of the ministry's work is proposal drafting. Recently, this has mainly been focused on the Heroes of Valhalla program, where citizens of Europeia, the North Pacific, Boulder, and newly the East Pacific work together to draft commendations of influential figures from those regions. It's a lot of fun because we essentially get to band together to write a bunch of extremely nice things about our favourite nation-states people. Also, depending on the nominee, you get the opportunity to dig through ancient historical threads on the forum, which is always very interesting and sometimes quite amusing. Another type of proposal drafting that's been going on in the last few terms is repeals of condemnations of raiders that are hostile to us. For example, writing legend was a co-author of the successful repeal of Condemn Ever-Wandering Souls. We now move on to the day in the life of a WA minister.
The first daily task I usually tackle is getting up to date on the World Assembly proposals that have been submitted, have reached quorum, have been withdrawn, are currently being drafted, etc. In the past, this has been done using a Google spreadsheet called the Watch Table, but this time I've been using Trello because it's very convenient to use for this kind of thing. Credit to PH Drake for introducing people to Trello. So I go through the General Assembly and Security Council queues in turn and make a note of what needs to be done for each proposal with a little checklist for them that includes discussion thread, which is optional, IFV assigned, IFV produced, feedback given, IFV posted in WAL, IFV posted on the European forums, and Telegram and Dispatch posted. Assigning IFVs generally involves pinging WA staff in the Discord channel with the list of proposals that need IFVs and asking for volunteers. If nobody responds, which is most of the time, then I go around individually DMing people that indicated interest in writing IFVs in the roll call, particularly the newer staff members who might need a bit more of a nudge to get involved. I have also been keeping track of proposal drafts that are posted in the nation-states World Assembly Forum. This is not strictly necessary, especially for the General Assembly, which currently has a massive backlog of submitted proposals, but it is helpful, for example in the Security Council right now, which has quite an empty queue. The little bit of warning in advance when a proposal is going to be imminently submitted is helpful, as with nothing in the way, the proposal could unexpectedly get to vote super quickly. The next thing to go about doing is working on our own proposal drafting efforts, for example in Heroes of Valhalla. Towards the start of term, This was more along the lines of creating a plan, discussing with interested staff about what projects they might like to work on, and generally coordinating these efforts. At this point in the term, it is more about getting into the research and writing, and also checking in on the projects I'm not directly involved in. Proposal drafting can be a very collaborative effort, so it doesn't have to be a huge burden, and it's very exciting to discuss your research and proposal structure ideas and ways of phrasing things with your co-authors. Finally, I deal with any other bits and bobs that might need my attention, planning events like this one, for example. So the role of the minister is not all that complicated overall, it just requires a little bit of organisation. Hopefully this introduction to the WA ministry has been informative or otherwise nice to read or listen to, and if you're not already part of the ministry, I hope you maybe consider joining to get in on some of this awesome action.